Hi class and welcome to your video on coal. So coal is the most abundant fossil fuel found in the world. It is mostly found in the northern hemisphere and the US has 25% of coal. So we use coal quite a bit because of the availability of this. It's used to produce electricity and steel, and the consumption has surged in recent years due to the fact of the industrialization of nations like India. Surface mining is one of the ways that we get our coal. Surface mining is mining within 30 meters of the surface. To get the coal, you must first remove the soil, then the subsoil, and then the overlying rock strata. 60% of the U.S. coal is obtained in this way through surface mining, and it's usually safer for miners and less expensive, but it does disrupt the land extensively. So another form of surface mining is called strip mining, and you literally strip away the rock, vegetation, and soil. And we dig a trench in order to extract all the coal. But then we have these leftovers and rubble, which are dumped into the nearby valleys. Another form of mining would be subsurface mining. This is something that you probably usually think of when you think of mining. You think about miners going down underneath the ground into the mines and tunnels. And this is subsurface mining. The other 40% of coal in the U.S. is mined this way. So we get 60% from surface and 40% from subsurface. The environmental impacts of coal are topsoil loss from erosion or removal during mining, which prevents restoration of the site. So you can't really do much with that site if it doesn't have the soil and it's not able to grow vegetation. Because you don't have the vegetation and you don't have the soil, landslides tend to occur. And a landslide is exactly what it sounds like. It is an area where rocks and rubble and soil just kind of go all downhill. Another environmental impact would be the acid and toxic mineral drainage that leaches from the minerals exposed in mine waste. What we mean here is we're going to have waste left over. Well, there's things in the waste which can get into your lakes, your rivers, your streams, can get into your soil, it can get into all kinds of things. And so it leaches from the exposed mine waste into the environment. So something to keep in mind is this acid mine drainage is sulfuric acid and other dangerous dissolved materials such as lead, arsenic, and cadmium. Remember we talked about these, you can have them in very high doses, and they can be fatal sometimes from high doses. They wash from the coal and the metal mines into nearby lakes, rivers, and streams. The last environmental impact is that streams can become polluted with silt runoff and acid mine drainage. One of the most destructive mining methods is mountaintop removal, and it has leveled 15 to 25% of mountains in southern West Virginia. By 2020, we believe in southern West Virginia, half of the peaks in that area will be gone. One of the reasons it's destructive, it literally is taking off the top of a mountain. But secondly, the valleys and streams in between the mountains are obliterated, and they're filled with the tailings and debris from the removal of the mountaintop. And the other thing is, we don't really do much to rectify this when we're all done getting everything. So it also occurs in Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. So it happens all over the United States. The Surface Mining and Control and Reclamation Act was passed in 1977. And what it did is it controlled abandoned surface mines where we had gone in and taken the coal, but we hadn't really done anything to the land. So it lets us do different things to the land. So it sets standards for mines to follow operation and reclamation. So during operation, they have to follow a certain set of standards, and during reclamation, afterwards. They have to follow a certain set of standards. So we get all this coal, and then we're going to burn it. We're going to burn it for energy and electricity. So it does have an impact, though. It contributes more air pollution than oil or natural gas, which are both fossil fuels. Coal-burning power plants produce 1/3 of airborne mercury emissions. This is another heavy metal that can get into our systems, and it builds up. Remember that biomagnification, and it builds up over time. When coal is produced, it produces sulfur and nitrogen oxides, which can react with water in the atmosphere and produce acid deposition, also known as acid rain. It is a secondary air pollutant, the sulfur and nitrogen oxides, but we know that the water in the atmosphere makes that acid rain. And then it releases more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere per unit of heat produced than any other fossil fuel. So if we're going to continue using coal, we need to make it cleaner. So one of the things we've done is we've developed this technology called scrubbers, and it can be used to remove sulfur and particulates from the emissions from coal. In scrubbers, chemicals react with the exhaust from burning coal, so it's going to precipitate out the polluting emissions. What that means is usually it comes out in a gas form, and so it escapes into the atmosphere, but here it's going to come out in a solid form, which is easy to collect. The second way we do this is through fluidized bed combustion. Crushed coal is mixed with limestone to neutralize acidic compounds, produces fewer nitrogen oxides, and removes sulfur. It produces more heat per unit, so it reduces carbon dioxide emissions as well. Okay, last slide here, the Clean Air Act. Now, remember the Clean Air Act was passed in 1970, but we updated it in 1990, and it provided incentives for energy companies to convert to clean coal technologies, things like scrubbers and fluidized bed to clean and any other type of clean carbon dioxide technology.